Okay. Hey everybody, we haven't done this in a while. Welcome to the Ankh-Morpork Historians Guild. Today we will be reviewing the book Jingo, which released your birthday, right?
It's 1997, yeah.
Yay, birthday.
Last one was Chio's birth. This one's my birth.
Oh, we
and
don't have to mention what mine is.
yours is a Rinchwin one. Yours is a Rinchwin one. Well, that makes me feel better about not getting Hogfather. At least I didn't get
fucking
Rincewind.
sucks.
At least I didn't get Rincewind. This is like horoscopes, actually.
Hold on. Carpe Jugulum released. I'm saved. Carpe Jugulum released in 1998.
So you're a cusp. I don't remember what that means. It means something.
This means you're a bit of both, huh?
Yeah, astrology folks, please tell us what Purtis being a cusp.
Oh, I'm good actually. I don't need to hear from them.
Between
Carpe Jugulum and the last continent.
And the last continent means. Yeah, what does that mean for you and your life path? Okay.
Well, just like those guys on Tumblr told me, it means I'm gay. Just like Rincewind. Okay.
Also, I'm Mulch and I use they, them pronouns.
I haven't introduced myself.
Okay, you go next.
This is a very professional podcast.
I'm fucking Purtis. I use they, them pronouns.
I'm Chio. I use she, her pronouns.
So you're fucking Purtis. So anyway, what was the Rincewind is gay thing? Like, where did you find the source of that?
No, I haven't found the source. Hey, listeners, if you were kicking it with Terry Pratchett and he said Rincewind was gay, can you fucking send us that vid, which I'm sure you took, because someone said that, and I would like to fact check it, and you would be surprised how much Terry talked. It's just a shocking amount.
It was so much. There are so many interviews.
The thing is, Rincewind is definitely not gay. He talks about being attracted. He is horny all the time, and it's always for women.
Hold on. Maybe it was a joke in response to J.K. Rowling's post-textual coming out. Hold on. I might have sourced it.
That would make
I might have sourced it. I'm seeing on the forums that they've mentioned that after the Dumbledore thing, he made a joke on the fan website that he ran that Rincewind would like to announce that he is gay. Since he never gets any, it really doesn't make much difference which any he doesn't get. And at least he might get a brief reputation for social awareness. Smiley emoticon.
Yeah, that does not count.
I'm taking it. I'll take it.
If J.K. Rowling gets it, Pateri gets it. I'm with it. Can I just say, I regret every day not being born earlier, if only for the simple and straightforward fact that I would have 100% been a computer nerd, and I would have 100% been able to kick it on the forums with Terry Pratchett. And I'm furious that I don't get that chance.
Yeah.
Born too late to explore the stars.
So I feel like I am always grateful for not having been born earlier, because my life is not good now, but I'm pretty sure it would have been worse had I been born earlier.
An important principle is that most of the time things were worse before.
Okay, here's my argument for Rincewind being gay. He's incredibly horny about women, but he doesn't like any of them. And I do feel...
That's very normal for heterosexual men.
I have some unfortunate news about heterosexuality and kind of social pressure. A lot of people are socially pressured into opinions that they don't really have. For instance, neither of you knew the word lesbian somehow.
I knew what a lesbian was, okay? I was 6 years old or something, I saw a photograph on Life magazine or something of two women Parade magazine, of two women getting married, And one of my siblings explained to me what a lesbian was, and I was like, oh, cool, that sounds better. I want to be one of those. Then I forgot about it for like the next 10 years.
And it fucked you up that you forgot about that. No, I didn't know what it was until 8th grade, and then I found out that 2 girls could kiss, and then I looked it up in 8th grade.
This is your dogs can pet other dogs.
Yeah. Shout out to Daja from the Circle of Magic books for bringing so much to my life.
Everything, really.
Everything, really. And then Frisk from Undertale for bringing the second wave of Identity Crisis.
Hey, this thread
really?
says...
It was Frisk from Undertale?
Yeah, I really got into fan fiction, and they used they/them pronouns, and I was like, God, that's so fucking sick.
Wow.
Hey, we knew real people that use those pronouns.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm going crazy. I feel like every time I talk to you guys about this,
school,
I feel like I'm getting gaslit because
non-binary.
Because not only did we like know a lot of non-binary people who use they them pronouns, but like we went to school with lesbians. I just like I feel so crazy.
Okay, yeah. So that made me aware that like it was good and okay for other people, and then Undertale fanfiction made me aware that I wanted it for myself, you know?
Okay, sure. I can take that.
I never ever questioned what made you realize you were non-binary just because we were surrounded by non-binary people.
It was.
I assumed it was like...
I assumed it was a normal thing.
No, it was Undertale fanfiction.
And I should have known it was always going to be a crazy thing. No, that's actually banger, dude. I love that. Every journey is valid.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hey, do you want to talk about this fucking book?
Yeah. So
I don't have a lot to say about it.
I don't know. We should start. Let's start with the background. Let's start with what I can give you, which is that everyone should remember the historical background of this book. It's 1997. We are only about 5 years out from the Gulf War, and only about 6 years out from Margaret Thatcher not being prime minister, or maybe less.
This is definitely drawing from the it's that fucking... God, I was thinking about the name of that island while I was listening to the book, and now as soon as it comes time to talk about it or bring it up, I totally forgot about it. The Falklands. This is also in reference to the Falklands, right?
That's an interesting point. I actually didn't think about that at all. You beat me to the punch this time. Potentially, but let me finish this up.
Curtis, say your thing, and then...
Okay, the Gulf War, which is basically like Iraq, which I'm sure you've all heard of, fucking invaded Kuwait, which I'm sure very few of you have heard of. And basically the whole world said, no, and killed like a lot of people. I'm not going to get into the ethics of any of that, but it is important to know that Margaret Thatcher and George H.W. Bush were the two leaders on that. The British and American governments were really, really concerned about everything that's happened in Iraq, basically since the 60s, or earlier, honestly. And that was their response. When he published this book, we are just like a little bit away from Operation Desert Fox, which is also called just the bombing of Iraq, where for 4 days they just killed a lot of people. I mean, it was just a relentless bombing of Iraq for a couple days. It was really bad. So, if you're thinking, wow, what a timely response, or like, what a predictive... No, we've just been killing Iraqis for a long, long time. Which is, pretty straightforward. All right.
Yep.
So it's sort of a combination of the Gulf War and the Falkland Islands War.
Yeah, I'm interested. Yeah, no, sorry, keep going.
I mean, it's definitely got to have something to do with the Falklands War, because it's about this, like, island that doesn't really have that many. It's about this island that's largely uninhabited. That's just like strategically located in case of war. Britain and Argentina went to war over. War was undeclared and lasted for like 2 months.
It's interesting. I didn't really think about it like that.
You really didn't think of the Falklands War when
No, I didn't
when
at all.
No,
I didn't. I'm almost a little disappointed in myself.
Yeah, I would have thought, like, you, our Britain expert, would have thought of it.
I just like history. It's not specific to Britain.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry to tell you, Purtis, but you know about Britain, more about Britain than any other American I have ever met.
The bar is so fucking low. It's actually insane. Huh, that's interesting. I will note.
Well, the thing is, like, it's not just knowing about Britain, you know, like, weird little shit about Britain.
Well,
like a bunch of, like, random pop culture facts.
Well, okay. I like the TV. What can I say?
By knowing about the TV, you somehow ended up knowing a lot else about Britain.
It's weird, but they put almost everything on TV in that country. It's totally different than us. Okay, sorry. I will note, I just checked the annotations. Not even they mention the Falklands War, so this may be a novel connection. Though I think you're absolutely right, and it's a good connection.
I just thought the connection between the Falklands and Lepsch would be just, like, immediate and intuitive.
In my mind, I was thinking just of, like... I mean, there are, like, a lot of wars like this. So I personally hadn't really connected it to anything. I was just thinking that it was, like, one of those wars you have. Especially Britain, which is, like, always threatening anybody they can with the ocean, because that's all they fucking got. Tiny ass island. Right, like their whole thing is having the best navy ever all the time. So I hadn't really connected it. It's interesting. Okay, but yeah, that's the background, which is also what I think makes this book kind of the least interesting of a lot of the Terry Pratchett books we've read. While Terry Pratchett's like the usual wit and banter are here, the social commentary he's making in this is pretty fucking boring, because it boils down to a like pretty base anti-war message about not killing people for no reason. But that's like not actually why wars happen. It's not really for no reason, and even when he does really try and mention that, he kind of fails to handle like the more complex financial and political reasons that we find ourselves in war, that are more to do with complex resource gaining, which is like really just not covered here. It's kind of boring. And it's not very original. Sorry. I will say it's shockingly less racist than I thought it would be. Possibly because at this point they'd been at war for so long that he could maybe actually learn something about these people. And
it definitely felt like he had like real experience here instead of, you know, the China one. So I didn't find this boring because the first part of it made me really stressed out, because it is like the scary part to me was the thing of within a city, what happens to the people that are there that like belong to the group you're going at war with, basically. Like, that's not good. And so like just that feeling of like these people are going to be hurt, and like that feeling of very, very precarious, them being in a very, very precarious position, was very stressful for me to read.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't bored by it. I was like, at least that first stretch before they go to Clatch,
I
Like
guess I
it's
should say I was bored by the social commentary. The
uh-huh.
individual moment to moment, like most Terry Pratchett books, is a
Yeah,
delight.
it is really well written and entertaining.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, some real fucking solid laughs in this one. I will say. It got me good several times, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I think that he was very consciously playing with some expectations as a political commentary, but again, it just kind of boiled down to like, don't be racist. Like 71 hour Ahmed is like a pretty fun character, sort of.
I liked him.
Yeah, I did too. And I think he was like a cool use of a character, but also it still boiled down to like, hey, you probably shouldn't be racist. Which,
Yeah, I
true,
did.
but not that interesting.
Do you like the idea of him being like direct sort of counterpart to Vimes?
Yes, I like that a lot. I like the idea of like, hey, here's Vimes, but he's more of a soldier. And he's Vimes a little bit unhindered. For better or for
I
worse.
sort of liked that one detail where Vimes is always like sort of ostracized for executing a king,
Yeah.
even though that like the king by all reasonable sort of all reason of ethics and morality should have been executed.
Yeah.
Um whereas
I mean, so different from now.
whereas 71 Hours Ahmed has this sort of shroud of horror around him as he executed a man well in his hospitality an hour before he the kid sort of culture norms demanded that he should.
Yeah.
Um even though that man had like committed like an atrocity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of like that parallel.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was really interesting. I mean, this is one of the better parts of like this book. I thought 71 Hour Ahmed, the inversion, the meeting these people in their foreign land, and then swapping and making our main characters be in a foreign land was really interesting. Thought they did it pretty well. He did it pretty well.
As far as the comedy goes, I really like the Patrician, Cullen, and Nobby going undercover as like a circus troupe.
So good. So many
That was
references.
so funny.
So bomb.
Yeah. The
It's all
Patrician,
references.
like the juggling stuff. Nobby saying trans rights. Loved that.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. No, it's really, really funny. I love that Patrician's little speech about juggling that he does where he's like, nope, never done it before. Fucking solid.
Yeah.
I think that I will say that this book does more of the magic Patrician than almost any of the other books do. And it does kind of irritate me. But it's just fun. And it's a good joke no matter what you do. Like,
Yeah.
I think it stutters on a story level, but on a like moment to moment level, it's fucking killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that in some ways, like, if I strip away and let go, I can be. This book is pretty fun. Its story just isn't that good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And its character work is fine. Like it's jokes. It's jokes. It's just weird that it's wrapped up in this like whole maybe don't kill Iraqis. Leo. It's kind of a hard thing to balance. And I will say personally that like I felt that it let go of the mystery from the first half of the book really easily. Like I felt like we were gearing up for a traditional, very mystery forward watch book, and it kind of switches away from that at some point, and that stuff just becomes like, I don't know, not a mystery, but background information that you now know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they
no, I
kind of
felt that way
stop
too.
working on it, which is like fine. but I definitely would have enjoyed a classic watch mystery right now.
Yeah. No,
And I was
get
getting
that.
really excited for that.
With all of the sort of riffing on JFK.
Oh my god, that was so good. Oh yeah. Some real good laughs in this book, y'all. I mean, it's a really fun book. I really had a good time. The writing is really solid. The moment to moment is fucking
Leonard
hilarious.
of Worm stuff.
I love Leonard. I love Leonard.
I love that he keeps on creating horrifying weapons. Like,
And then he's
but
like,
he
"Oh yeah,
never...
but never. No one would ever do that. No one would ever use them. What are you talking about?
Are you fucking crazy?
I made some killing machines, like some mass killing machines, but like, who would do that? Who would do that with my creations that I made that are obviously killing machines?
Do you guys hold on? I forgot. This is so important to me. Do you guys know the submarine thing?
No.
Yes.
The first submarine actually was a underwater device that drilled into the hulls of ships to sink them.
Yes, I knew that.
I
thought it was so fucking
but it
funny
didn't
that
work.
he put a drill at the end of his submarine and was like, "What? Use this to sink ships? Never."
Yeah, but what's critical about this, the first submarine didn't work also. They just utterly failed against the ships that they were trying to drill through. It's so good. I love America. So yeah, I thought that was
not chance, but
I just found it so fucking funny that he stuck a drill bit at the end of a submarine and was like, "Use this to sink ships?"
What are you, a fucking psychopath? Yeah, fucking really good. I do just like, on a wholehearted note, love the idea of somebody that to create things, to make new stuff, you have to have this like optimistic look of the world. Like, I think that's a really fun and good concept. And I love seeing it every time it pops up with Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Leonard is a great character. And I think the combination of Leonard, Colin, and Nobby Knobs, genius. Fucking genius. Yeah. Those guys should hang out all the time. I hope they kill each other.
I love the reveal at the end that Leonard of Quirm designed all of the traps around his, quote, prison, unquote.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Isn't that a callback? I thought they kind of mentioned that before.
No, this is the first time they've mentioned it.
Oh, shit.
They had mentioned before that, like, his prison wasn't really a prison, because you can't really imprison a man whose mind is never really in his body.
Yeah.
And the fact that he saw it, like, the fact that he was, like, kind of pleased to be given a space of his own without any need to worry about, like, rent or keeping a roof over his head or any practical concerns where he can just, like,
I will say,
endlessly.
This is many engineers' dreams.
Yeah, honestly, I'd probably enjoy it myself.
I mean, yeah, that's basically what you're doing now, but you have to work a job, so.
Yes, and it's horrible.
Yeah, but they were never like, oh yeah, he made all of the traps that like lead to his room. Yeah. Like, I mean, technically, like, he slid the key under the door, so he doesn't have the key. Like, it's so obvious that he could, like, break out at any time, honestly. Yeah.
I love him. I love the ongoing bit where he can't name shit. It's it's funny to me every time. It's such a cheap joke, and I love it.
Yeah, especially with the submarine, where he names all of the components, like, and then immediately calls it the going underwater machine.
Yeah. Yeah, I had fun with this book. I did find the viewpoint on, like, I mean, I think it's a basic take on racism, but I do think that it's interesting that it's Terry Pratchett's take, considering what else we've seen from him.
Do you find it pretty funny that he made a book explicitly about racism between humans? But often, like, throughout the Discworld books, he talks about how, like, oh yes, racism isn't really a thing in Ankh-Morpork.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, sure, for sure. He does say less of that as time goes on. I find, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would be weird to say that after this book specifically.
Yeah.
Where he does make Colin a literal white supremacist. So
Yeah.
um
I will say that while it wasn't the focus of this book, really, I still just love the relationship between Angua and Carrot so much.
Yeah, it's really fucking solid.
It is easily, in my opinion, the best first really good romantic subplot he'd written.
Yeah.
mhm.
Angua needs
Probably,
therapy
like-
so bad. And I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just autistic icon Carrot.
I know every time he appears on screen, I'm like, God, I want to be him. I am him. He's made me. He's everything. The part where he's on the boat and he's like, I'm gonna go to fucking bed because clearly I need to be well rested to save Angua and I'm not doing anything. And Vimes has this
Yeah.
little like, Jesus Christ, why does this dude fucking think like this? I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
here with you, Carrot.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah,
It actually like made me feel less bad because I think like that a lot of times where I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I need to do this because otherwise I'm going to be useless in the morning. I need to go to sleep or need to take care of myself in this moment or else I won't be prepared to do the thing that I need to do.
Yeah, I've had very real emergencies where I've had this same line of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Carrot's just right, and I don't understand why anyone would think Carrot is wrong.
Well, but the thing
thinks
is
logically.
Yeah, Vimes isn't saying he's wrong. Vimes is saying that people don't really do that. He's
But
like,
it's
he's
a logical decision.
He's like,
why
well,
don't they do it?
well, God Almighty, I say that about you all the time.
That's fair, but like I do make conscious decisions that are right, and people do.
Question it
Yeah.
in the same way. Yes, yeah,
I've
for sure.
invented over the years this person in my mind, I think, who acts as like the neurotypical, who will like give me lectures about doing logical shit.
Like you should do less of it.
Yeah, or like it would be more moral or more noble for you to not do the correct thing in this situation.
Only
Oh,
figured out you had autism this year, huh?
Yes.
Huh. Astounding. Okay. Fucking Nabi Nas is a trans icon.
I like
Funny.
it's shocking to me how trans Nabi is in this book. Like I knew
Yes.
already, and I reread it, and I was like, wow, this is.
And what I like is that it doesn't go away. I mean, I think it, like the next watch book, it still comes back.
It gets mentioned again for sure. I do remember this.
And
I
Nabi has
mean,
always been.
it's a funny and interesting like extension of the Discworld whole idea is that like if you are like if you look like something or if you have a container that is something that you will become that thing in the Discworld. It's like a major principle of the kind of meta narrative
Mhm.
of the Discworld, the pataphysical narrative. And I'm so glad that he keeps it up for this, and it gets mentioned again. And Nami knows is just like wicked trans in this book, and is like, I fucking prefer to be a woman. This is dope.
Yeah.
And not even in like a weird sexual way. And can I just give like huge treats? Like he makes one comment that's like, this is the closest I've ever been with women, or something like that. But it still isn't even like I'm gonna sneak in there, or some weird like man at a dress anti-trans thing. Which
To
honestly,
be honest, like
I
not
was
being Nob's
so frightened.
hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but him hanging out with the women, that's probably like the best interaction Nobby has had with a group of people. Period.
An
Yeah.
extremely good scene. Yes, yes.
And
I'm
like,
glad that they just like enjoy him. They have a great time together. He genuinely tries to like comfort this girl in a meaningful way, which he literally never ever does.
like, and
All the
joke,
rest of the time.
yeah, and the joke wasn't that like he's weird with women, and the joke is that he hates men now.
Yeah, the
Like,
joke is that he
it's
like
so
now
good.
understands women's struggles. Yeah, it's so fucking based. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely think Girl Nobby is happier than like
So by a significant margin, like, and like
yeah.
angrier and more self-assured and like assertive and like
What we're saying is
I
that femme Nobby is canon and real.
yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, if Terry was still alive, I feel he would approve this message. I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did have fun with this book. I'm like it's not I don't like it as much as the other watch books. Like I think like To Guards Guards is above this for me, but I did think it was very fun.
Yeah.
And
I had
it wasn't
Oh,
yeah.
keep going.
Oh, and just that it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be when it was presented to me as the human racism book. Like
Yeah.
I had such low expectations.
Well, Michi primed us. Michi was like, "This book fucking it's really rough," and I was also very afraid going into this book. And honestly, it's fine. I mean, compared to some of the other
Well,
shit.
To be
Compared
fair,
to-
I was
compared to-
specifically saying that because Mulch got really stressed out when they first read it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, compared to some of the other racism we've seen in his books, this is really chill. Let me be clear that there
Yeah.
wasn't nothing that was racist in this book, for sure.
Yeah, like to be clear.
Yeah, it was not 100% or whatever, but
Yeah, and even like the parts that were good were like heavy-handed and like it wasn't he didn't do it perfectly, but he also didn't fuck it up that like
yeah.
to a
I-
great extent.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reason it stressed me out wasn't because it was racist. It stressed me out because I am very afraid
General.
yes, in general. But also like that sort of like that sort of environment that feels so real, where like you feel like real people are going to get hurt, like real ordinary people are going to get hurt because of these greater political powers that will turn normal people against normal people. That freaks me out quite a lot, and I think he did that very well in this book,
Yeah.
where like that feeling is so prevalent in the first part,
I
and it does scare
absolutely
you.
agree. The
Yeah.
shopkeep and everything Sam Vimes does for him that he can do is very, very genuinely touching. And
Mhm.
I think it is the strongest part of this entire book for me, like from a story perspective. Which
Yeah.
it's always so hard
For me,
reviewing Terry
easily the
Pratchett.
most stressful scene was the one where they were being confronted by the group, the sort of advocacy group inside of the station, and he turns to Detritus and goes, "Hey, where did you put that family again? Like, where are they staying?" And he says, "The cells." That moment, like my stomach dropped.
Yeah.
Like that was, oh my
Yeah.
god.
No,
Moment.
the most stressful part of me, I think, was a very normal one, which was when the kid shoots the guy. I was like, like I was just like, oh, this is gonna get people killed. Like not because this kid, like because it's like the straw on the camel's back, and it didn't end up being that, but it very easily could have been. And like it's just when ordinary people are going to be killed for really stupid reasons makes me frustrated and upset.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen a lot of people killed for really stupid political
Yeah.
reasons. Yeah, it's a funny book. It's a good book. I think there are a couple points that like really ailed for me.
Hmm.
I really, particularly, I felt like the climax kind of sucked. A lot of it, like at the very end of this book, is like a really, really straightforward reference to Lawrence of Arabia. Um, which is only like really funny if you are very familiar with the end of Lawrence of Arabia, but also serves as the real actual ending of this fucking book. Like at 1 hour away from the ending mark. Basically the whole speech from Lawrence of Arabia is transposed into this book about like
Yep, totally missed all of that. I have never seen Lawrence of
I
Arabia.
for sure would not have caught this, but I recently watched Lawrence of Arabia. No, so the part at the end where he's like, this is no longer the time for warriors. This is the time for men of words who deal in politics, mistrust, and something else. That is like from Lawrence of Arabia. The words are different. The exact words are different, but the meaning and phrasing is exactly the same. Like a lot of the end of this book is like a big old reference to Lawrence of Arabia. And I think it like really undercuts this, and I think it's a really kind of unsatisfying bit to their like it's a very unsatisfying end to their time in Clatch, I feel.
Hmm.
It just kind of feels like, okay, all of the people are in place. Story over. Finish up. Which
Yeah, I was wondering why it went on so long after it felt like it ended.
yeah, and they did the little trial, which was definitely funny, but that was kind of it. Yeah, it didn't make any. It was really weak. I felt like all of those were pretty tidy wrap ups. Oh, I should note the coal handling that Vimes does.
Vimes?
Yeah, Vimes does with to the guy, Russ.
Yeah.
Where he holds it. That's also a Lawrence of Arabia reference. Like straight up, Lawrence of Arabia has a part which is the trick is not minding that it hurts. Like it is straight up a Lawrence of like it's very straightforward.
Yeah.
I can't express it enough. And then the trial is fun, but it's not like super meaningful or wicked connected to the rest of it. There is this small piece about whether or not he actually will arrest Vimes, which he gets really weird about, which is hilarious because he has arrested Vimes. And like over and over again, I will say that like there's this thing where he references the will of the people or what is and isn't the will of the people, and like
You mean veterinary?
no Vimes, sorry. This is kind of is only partially related. I mean, it's directly Vimes references the will of the people in a lot of different ways in this book, and this is one of the more anti-democratic books I noticed. Which, whatever, but it is weird to connect these two things because in many ways, like he's demonstrating that like individuals in power will innately make choices that sacrifice very important lives for no reason or little gain. But then he's also like, but also trusting the will of the people or like large groups is insane and they'll do the same thing, which I guess is a salient political point.
To be fair, I think that is like sort of fascinating tension and thematic through line throughout all of the watch books, which is that like individuals in power will do like selfish, horrifyingly cruel things that disregard the individual human life, but also large groups of like the majority of people are also kind of horrible.
It
Kind of
is
struggling with that like tension.
yeah, but it's
Like the first book is like
oh.
people begins with like the vast majority of Ankh-Morporkians immediately just sort of accepting the dragon as king.
Yeah.
And embracing tyranny.
I mean, yes, and it doesn't really make... There's no, like, meaningful dialogue or solution on this to me. Like, he references both of these things over and over again, but, like, by the truth of the text, by, like, what happens in the story, the answer ends up being, like, oh, we should just trust that magical heroes will show up, which is, like, nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that is really kind of frustrating to me, and I think makes that, like, as a story through line, as a narrative through line, it really doesn't work to bring it up casually. Because while in other watch books he does have like a really slow talk about like whether or not Vimes should exist as a force in the universe. In this, he doesn't really get the opportunity to do that. And the few times he does, it really glosses it over, right? Like, one of the things is like, so there's this moment, right, where 71 Hour Ahmed and him have a talk about like whether people should die sometimes or not, right? And like, Vimes is aghast that 71 Hour Ahmed would kill people. And they start having this dialogue about how big their space is and all this other stuff. But like, that's not the real point. If you were actually talking about like the will of the people versus like single individuals, Ahmed serves as kind of the like end result of a magical hero concept like Vimes, is that you do just have people who have vested authority to fucking kill. And the difference is very minimal, right? Like this thing where he was like, oh, so they go to court and then they die. Like what's the fucking difference? You send them there the same way. It's just more steps. And like that is a real, true, and salient point of our current and former justice systems, especially in the 1990s in the UK. Like, a lot of bad things happened with the justice system. So like, it's hard for me to balance that as a narrative through line in this, because by the text he just doesn't, he kind of dodges it. And it gets worse when you consider like who Vetinari is in this story and how he operates. Like, this is one of those times where sometimes the amount of humor he wants to write doesn't match the amount of narrative and thought he's putting into things, and they kind of conflict with each other.
Yeah, I do think that...
And I think this... Oh, keep going.
This is kind of a veer into another book, but I do think the watch books are really interesting in comparison to the Moist books, because the Moist books are the perspective of from a criminal who like was going to be killed within the court system, and then like that, like just thinking about like the stamp guy that they ended up like saving because he was going to be killed for forgery, kind of like brings to light what the justice system within this world actually is, and like what, like we see Vimes like protecting people from like the like guilds and stuff because the guilds would kill them, but like you do have to know that the justice system is killing people within this world, which is kind of like how do you reconcile that with the way these books are written?
Yeah, it's kind of difficult. And like, I mean, a lot of the way he gets around it is by saying that most of the crimes are like fines, or that they don't actually get sent to any form of real trial, which is like something that does get mentioned a lot. That like, and then like by also offsetting whose fault it is. So like, unlicensed thieves are like sort of his responsibility, but they're mostly the Thieves Guild's responsibility, and they kill those guys.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's one of these things where Terry Pratchett, as we've mentioned before, clearly has a lot of complex feelings about cops, and in many ways knows that cops are not good for society, but still wants to write these cop stories. And so he has to go through all these leaps and bounds to make it so that his heroic cop character can exist, and he still has to have a very complex dialogue about whether or not Vimes is good, and Vimes constantly struggles with the weight of responsibility and the difficulty of being good because of this. Which is like really crazy, and it's, you know, very British.
Yeah. I found jumping to a different thing. I'm like, I found the tests and the gold stars Vimes was given about racism weird. Like how did you guys feel about those? Because I don't feel like I can I don't know what I can
No,
say
speak
about
up,
those.
white man.
I don't know what I can say about those, but I did want to know, how weird did those feel to you? Because those felt kind of weird to
I mean,
me.
this is what real life is like to BH, but
I mean, you, yeah.
I read a lot of Poirot, like a lot of Hercule Poirot books, and I find it interesting that that it seems like in a lot of British media or stories, there's this kind of running through line of like stories about foreigners inside of Britain, where there's like this constant awareness that you are surrounded by xenophobic assholes.
Mm-hmm.
That people who will continuously underestimate, underrate, or degrade you because they are simply because they perceive you as other or foreign. So that there's this like tactic of playing up foreignness when you want to be underestimated. Or I don't know. For me, it kind of played into that larger trend I'd noticed within the Poirot books.
Mm-hmm.
They are especially interesting because Agatha Christie is herself pretty xenophobic.
Uh-huh.
Hard not to be at that time. Especially in Britain. Yeah, I don't know. The scene was pretty unnotable to me. It happens in a lot of things, and it happens in real life.
Yeah.
So I barely even noted it, if I'm being honest.
Uh-huh.
It was pretty unnotable. But I do think, I very much so, like, this is something that also still happens here, about the playing up, being from somewhere else to become underestimated. I mean, I was hanging out with my family yesterday, and we were talking about pretending not to know English. For all sorts of reasons, really. I mean, bang out those fucking tunes. My brother mentioned that he does it all the time to not have to speak to customers. And that his West African coworkers also do this with him and will support him in this incredible lie. This grocery store does not hire a single English-speaking employee.
That is very, very funny. Oh, and to clarify, what was strange to me was not the testing; it was the gold stars. It was like every time, it was like, "Oh, you get a gold star for this Vimes. You weren't as racist as you could be."
This is what real life is like.
It's so funny.
Just like, I'm sorry. We went to a high school together where lots of gold stars were handed out for not being as racist as you could have been.
Yeah.
I know that the experience probably did not feel like that to you, but that is what it felt like to me, and also a lot of the POC club that I hung out with at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, our classmate who would become poet wrote a very, very good poem about this that actually I recently read again.
Azura?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I probably shouldn't say that name in here, but yeah.
There are a lot of people with that name in the world.
Yeah, she's a published poet. So.
She is a published poet and public figure.
She has at least 2 books, yeah.
So
I did not know that.
No, they're good.
Yeah. Yeah, I only have one of them, but I want to get the other one.
But there's a great poem that Azura wrote about this, and I still feel it a lot. So Yeah, this is just what the life is like.
May have just revealed where we went to high school, though, so...
I have said on a recording what city I live in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Seattle's a big fucking city.
Very explicitly.
But it's a massive fucking city.
Yeah.
Like, a genuine metropolis.
How many people do you think are named Curtis?
How many people do you think are named Mulch? You're the only one keeping your name out of this. And I hope.
Okay.
And I respect you for keeping your name out of this. I'm just fucking saying. If it makes you feel better, you barely went there.
It is true that high school was around the time when I started to feel like I was in this weird haze all the time. Like, time stopped being real.
Yeah, that
anyway.
did seem to be your high school experience. That is true.
I mean, also being so angry.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's my entire life.
I know. I was there.
Anyway, I like the bit where Vimes is referred to as Veterinari's terrier.
Yeah,
again, the continuous tying together of Vimes and Veterinari.
Yeah, it's good. I like their interactions still and always. I feel like we're about to hit, like, this is like a major turning point for them. I feel like from Jingo onwards, their relationship gets like real intense. Like, it's like fun and playful before, but I feel like, especially, I mean, obviously Night Watch, but like, I feel like it starts in Fifth Elephant, and I'm really excited.
The fifth elephant bangs.
Yeah, I mean,
you're excited for the weird sexual tension.
Night Watch fucking absolutely bangs.
Yeah.
I like, speaking of sexual tension, I like the bit where Angua puts that together and says, "You're right, sir. Everyone is somebody's dog," and talks about her relationship with Carrot.
I know. I'm obsessed. I want what
I
they
love
have.
that.
I want what they have so bad.
And I love the bit that she kind of resents how much she loves Carrot.
I know.
How, like, in a way she feels trapped by how much she loves Carrot.
Yeah.
Like that.
I love it.
I'm so fucking uncomfortable in that conversation. Like, that was so funny.
I know. It's also like, he's clearly not, he's trying so hard not to be racist also, which I really, sometimes he writes that, Terry Pratchett writes trying not to be racist perfectly. I'm sure it happened to him a lot, but I'm just saying he writes it flawlessly.
Oh no. He did that part well. Yeah.
My favorite kind of situation to be in is some white guy trying really hard not to be racist. It is genuinely so good. I'll start talking about Spanish colonization and like, whoo, oh man, a guy gets so nervous. So good. I don't have anything more interesting to say about this book. It's a really funny book. I think it's worth reading. I think it is laugh out loud hilarious, but it's just really
probably
funny.
The weakest watch book as well.
I think it's the weakest watch book, especially from a narrative perspective. I think it's really, really funny. I think it's more funny than some of the other watch books. But there's not,
especially Night Watch.
Yeah, fuck. But there's not a lot of interesting things to say about it because I could just do a play-by-play of every bit, and that's like good for me. But it's not actually good to listen to in any meaningful way.
Yeah, it's at.
So where do we want to put it?
Oh, it's at number 8 for me, right under Guards, and above Soul Music. But I don't remember what the main list looks like.
Oh, our main list is wild. I don't know. Every time we add a book, our main list and side list diverges more and more.
I would put it under Soul Music.
You'd put it under Soul Music?
Yeah.
Okay, it's above Soul Music for me, but that's about the right place for me. Yeah, definitely above.
I'm surprised it's above Soul Music
for me.
Uh-huh.
I just like the characters better. I mean, other than Death, I like the characters better. You know, it's the Watch.
Yeah, that's.
Do you like the characters in Jingo better than the characters in Soul Music? But I feel like Soul Music has like the stronger story.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
It has this like weird underlying mysticism. Soul Music is really appealing to me.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair.
It's
So
hard
we
to
could-
get
you,
a death
Curtis?
book from. I mean, on my personal list has diverged so very much that putting anything on the main list is getting increasingly difficult for me.
Mhm.
Because it's meaningless to me.
Yeah.
So you said below or above soul music is what you were looking at.
One of us said eat one of each.
Fuck me.
Yeah,
For
I
me,
said-
this is one of those things where it's like this is impossible to rank because I liked soul music's concepts and stories better. Jingo is a fucking hilarious book that I think I will remember many of the jokes more.
Mhm.
They are just in two different categories of books that he writes. And I think their talents are equal and on display and opposite. I will put Jingo above soul music merely because I think I am going to remember more from Jingo than I am from soul music.
Okay.
And it's hard to beat a watch book.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as it's
I'm fine with that.
as long as it's above Masquerade. Oh, well, I guess I wanted this one, but like for me, like as long as it's above Masquerade, I'm fine.
And I was
It's
about to say you
absolutely
got
better
what
than
you got what
Masquerade.
you fucking want. Yeah.
I think we are all in agreement that it is better than Masquerade.
I don't even see Masquerade on my personal list anymore. Did I miss that one?
You might have, yeah.
Fuck. Where's Masquerade? I don't even remember Masquerade.
Masquerade was enjoyable but weird and fat phobic.
Oh,
Masquerade
the
had a
opera
really-
one. Masquerade was the
Masquerade-
opera one.
Yeah,
Right.
Masquerade was the one that had like the really bad tasting ending.
Where's it on the main list?
Right underneath soul music.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wow. Both moving pictures, huh?
Yeah, you put
Yeah.
moving pictures weirdly high.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you put it above either of us.
Well, I meant on our main list. Masquerade is
Yeah,
above
yeah.
moving pictures.
Yeah, I kept on.
I know you fought. You lost though.
Masquerade, I mean, moving pictures doesn't really have characters.
That shit's so funny. I love.
It is very funny,
I'm
though.
still
It is very
laughing
funny.
about some of this stuff. You guys are gonna be so mad at my final list. I'm not excited.
That assumes that I get mad at anything. I get mad at very little.
Well, one of you is. The presentation of our final list is going to be heinous. A bad episode. Just terrible.
I am very happy with my list.
Well, of course you're happy with your own fucking list. What are you talking about? Yeah, mine's fucking great, dude. It's fucking genius. This kind of analysis never been done before. I swear to God.
We have read 21 Discworld books together.
Yeah.
We're halfway through. This is a halfway point. Jingo's a halfway point.
Wow.
Yeah, what's the next book?
No,
No, don't worry about it.
don't worry about
think
it.
about it too much.
Next book don't matter.
Oh, it's the Rincewind book.
Ah! Don't say
say it
his
out
name.
loud.
Oh yeah,
Listener,
makes you
we
feel
may
better.
be crossed for the next one.
next
Yeah.
book will be less racist than the previous Rincewind book.
I mean,
It would be
I hope so.
astounding. It would be incredible if
Like,
it was.
I'm pretty sure it's still at least a little bit racist, if memory serves, but it's like less racist than Interesting Times.
I mean, it's Australia, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It's not like he wouldn't fuck around with Aboriginals, would he? They've gone through so much. So it's just got to be British Australians, right?
No, they're Aborigines.
Oh no!
Like, they're not there for a lot of it, but they're there.
I did hear that there's a sick Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert reference in this book, and I am excited for that.
Is 90% Australian culture references, which is part of why it's so fucking boring.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the last Rincewind book, right? The last real Rincewind book.
No, there's the Last Hero.
But the last hero doesn't really count.
Yeah,
right?
that's the only book that I think of as the Cohen the Barbarian book.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah. It also has carrot in it, which automatically makes it more enjoyable.
I feel like we don't have to be sober for any Rincewind books, actually. And I think we should have known this from the beginning. I think we really came to it late.
I mean, we would have just been alcoholics because when we started this series, we were doing it weekly, which was deranged. And they're all Rincewind books, so
yeah,
you know. There is no next book in the Discworld series. So sad, actually. It didn't happen, but we will be drunk for it. Tune in next time to find the thrilling conclusion of our sanity. This has been Ankh-Morpork Historians Guild. Thank you.
Bye.
see you later.